Hi class! So at this point you've already made it through the first module and you're reviewing the Essay 1 essay prompt. This page is pretty much the assignment details of what is expected of you for this assignment. I've made it as detailed as possible, but if you have any questions regarding this, please make sure to post on the discussion board course questions. So let's review this together. The following assignment details present the prompt for your first assignment. I have also included a printer-friendly version for you to print and annotate, and a Google Doc where you may access my notes. If the printer-friendly version doesn't work, like if you can't upload it or download it for some reason, just go ahead and email me and I'll try and figure out what's going on. The Google Doc version you may view. The settings are so you can only view, but you'll be able to see the notes that I take on there, which we'll do in a little bit together. So again, if you have any questions after watching the video and after reading this assignment detail list, post on the course question discussion board. Something important to remember is you must complete these steps before starting the assignment. So if you begin the assignment and you haven't completed these steps, you might get a little lost. So things that you want to make sure to complete are read the student fear factor and Brainology, submit your submit your quiz 1, submit your second discussion post, participate in a peer review, and this is after you've completed the essay. Read college writing, introductions and conclusions, the art of summarizing, and the art of quoting. At this point, you have already read college writing and seen the slides for that. In the next couple modules, you will read introductions and conclusions, the art of summarizing, and the art of quoting. And then also, you'll watch an example essay 1 video later on in module 3. And this video will consist of an example essay, and I'll go through it, I'll annotate it, and explain what the writer did right, what the writer did wrong, and how the writer could potentially improve the paper. So just to give you a heads up, the essay that we'll be looking at is a direct link to this prompt. So it's an essay answering the same exact prompt, just to give you a little bit more feedback and guidance on what you should and shouldn't be doing for your essay assignments. So at this point we can begin reviewing the details. Rather than reviewing the details here on Canvas, I'm just going to click on the Google Doc link, and that'll take me to the Google Doc that is shared with you. And I'll be making annotations on here directly, so you can refer back to them in case you have any questions. But just a heads up, I'm just going to go ahead and click on my Google Doc, because I obviously can't make changes I can't make any changes on the other one since it's under view only. So anyway, let's begin. So essay 1, mindsets. So the purpose of this assignment is to write an expository essay that compares the similarities between two distinct texts while drawing on your own lived experiences to further exemplify this comparison. So in short, what you'll be doing here is comparing and contrasting two things, right? Two readings, and writing a narrative of some sort where you're discussing your lived experiences. So let's continue on to the question that you will be answering. Summarize both Dweck's and Cox's article. Connect Dweck's research in Brainology, transforming students' motivation to learn, with Cox's The Student Fear Factor, by analyzing how one student exhibits characteristics of a fixed mindset, a growth mindset, or both. Then discuss your fears as a college student by explaining which of the student experiences from the student's fear factor you connect with the most and why. So here, I'm going to give you about 30 seconds or so to review that question again and point to the 4 things that this prompt is asking of you. I'll give you some time now, and you may pause the video if you feel you need more time. Alright, so what is the first thing this prompt is asking you to do? One, it's asking you to summarize. So I'm just going to go ahead and highlight summarize here, just so we remember, okay, my essay has to include a summary of some sorts. But what exactly is it asking us to summarize? Yes, it's asking us to summarize both of the articles that we've read. Good. And what's the next thing it's asking us to do? Great. The next thing it's asking us to do is to connect, right? But connect what exactly? Connect Dweck's research with what? With how Cox's The Student's Fear Factor exhibit a growth, a fixed, a growth mindset, or both. So in short, here what it's asking us to do is obviously to connect Dweck's research with Cox's research. Pulling one of the examples from one of the students' experiences, I should say, and explaining how they show whether they exhibited a fixed mindset, a growth mindset, or both. So if we're looking back to the text, let's pick Carlos, for example. So here we can just say, like, how did Carlos portray a fixed mindset? Did he overcome it? How so? These are all questions that you might consider answering when you're answering this portion of the prompt. And you don't have to pick Carlos. You can pick any of the other students that are presented in Cox's research. And then what is the next step that is being asked of us? Good. The next step is to discuss, correct? And what will we be discussing? We will be discussing, or I should say, you will be discussing your fears as a college student in a very specific way. One, by explaining how your experiences link to one of the students in the student fear factor. But there's something else I want you to emphasize on. So although technically this prompt is asking us to do 3 things, I want you to make sure to emphasize on the why. This is something a lot of students miss because they think it's already obvious, right? Make sure you're explaining why and how you and the student example that you've chosen, how they work together. So, let's move on to the requirements. In order for your assignment to receive at least a C, and that's important to remember, the essay must provide the following details. So I'll let you go ahead and read these on your own, but just remember you have to complete these requirements in order for your essay to receive at least a C. So if there's no introduction or conclusion, you won't get a C, right? If it's not meeting the word count, you won't get a C. So make at least a C, I should say. So make sure you're looking at these requirements, and I made these bullet points as little boxes so you can kind of check them off as you go, and that should be a little helpful. Here's also some helpful tips for you. One of the ones I want to or 2 of these that I really want to highlight is the second one. Visit the Writing Center on campus to receive feedback from a tutor. So remember, if you can't make it to campus, our school also offers online tutoring, and how to receive online tutoring is on our syllabus page. The next thing I want you to remember is do not use the second person or you in the actual essay. And also avoid saying we, because by saying we, you're saying you, me, and everyone else, right, is agreeing exactly what you're claiming, and that's not necessarily true. You can't assume that everyone else is in the same boat as you are, for lack of a better phrase. And then here are some important dates: the peer review and the essay due date. So both of these are posted on Canvas, so that should be pretty straightforward. But here I phrase them as questions, so if you print it out, write it out. I'm the type of person who needs to write things out in order to really remember and understand them. So here I would just suggest write out the dates of that these assignments are due. Alright, and the next part I want to go over is the essay rubric. This is also outlined on Canvas, but I figured I'd just put it on here so you could print this out as well. So the following rubric outlines the criteria I will use to assess your first writing assignment. Be sure to carefully review this rubric. Also, I encourage you to use the rubric as a checklist when revising and editing your own work. So again, I won't go over these requirements or criteria in detail, but make sure that you're reviewing these throughout your writing process to make sure you're hitting on important points. So this has been our review of the Essay 1 prompt. Again, if you have any questions, be sure to post those on the course discussion board.